joining me here today, and welcome back. We have a pretty fun little upgrade going on today. This one has been quite a long time in coming. So as you can see, we have several things on the table. We're going to start with the knife. Obviously it's a Civivi, and what we have here is the Conspirator. So the Conspirator is a Civivi design. It is a full-size flipper button lock. It has Nitro-V in a very nice stone wash, if you can see that on the camera, stone wash finish. It has black micarta handles, black screw set, black stainless internal liners, and again is a flipper, which it flips extremely easily, as well as a button lock that works extremely well. It's got a nice fuller, flips out really easily, or you can do the old thumb roll. So I obtained this through one of my compadres on Blade Forum, so I got a good deal on it. It looks unused. I imagine there was probably some boxes that are cut or some packages, some basic work, but for the most part it looks completely clean. So our plan today, the reason this has taken so long, is I wanted to do these Unlocked Composite scales for the knife. Unlocked Composites has been one of my favorites in terms of good user upgrade of scale material. And I'm going to show you some of my other models that has the Unlocked Composite. Let's just make sure I don't cut anything important here. I think we're good. So we got a little unboxing here. Unlocked Composites. They do made to order. So when you do place a Unlocked Composite order, despite whether or not they say it's in stock or not, expect a prolonged wait time. And they do come from overseas, I believe Australia, if I'm not mistaken. They always send you the piece of carbon fiber that it was cut out of. So that's always kind of cool, so you know it's all legit. They have some cool little stickers. They have a little QR code with some information about them. That's a, not gonna lie, that's a pretty slick sticker that they're carrying there with that kind of honeycomb pattern in the background. So my son may appreciate, you like that? My wife is eyeballing it. You like that? It's pretty slick, kind of a good little logo.
That's good.
I have no idea why they always send this, but I have got a bunch of these now. Why they send a wooden fork, I don't know. Maybe one day they'll explain that to me, although they've never made it clear. And we have some order tags. So we have the 3D Machine 3K12 carbon fiber scales with the gecko right hand with backspacer and thumb groove on both sides. And then that's just another order ticket. Along with, here we have the backspacer. So we are going to be adding a backspacer in here, as well as our composite scales. So let's take a look at these scales. Always excited about these when they first come out. Oh, this is nice. Okay. Yeah, okay. I can see that. Look at that machining. Look at the wave pattern on the thumb grooves. That is phenomenal. And then it has the gecko pattern, which is kind of a, it's still the twill, but you can see the circling kind of spiraling out. Wow. These are, that's going to be absolutely, that's going to be oh, the grip on them too. Micarta's not bad. They do a nice micarta. I'm just not a big micarta fan. I probably don't give it as much recognition as I should. So, in addition, while we're in here, we're going to do some upgrade on the bearings and add the skiff bearings. I do that to quite a few knives. I've never truly convinced myself. For example, this has the skiff bearings. It's very smooth. Is it smoother than it was before? I don't know. And additionally, this is pretty impressively smooth right out the box. Now, just for a little bit of our own edification before we get into this, I wanted to show a few of my other Unlocked Composites. So the very first one that I did was the Civivi Elementum. So this is a Elementum with the S35 VN steel, and it's got nice lockup. You can see I made some changes to it as well, adding the titanium pocket clip. One of my first kind of modern folders. And boy, after using the flipper on this one, that's just so easy. This one takes a little bit more effort to get it going. All of these Unlocked Composites do have the skiff bearings as well. So that was the very first one. The second one was the Baby Banter. Probably by far my favorite 5th carry knife. This is fantastic. This one has the tritium thumb stud from Glow Rhino. But this is a great one. Again, S35 VN steel. You can see that has the kind of the transverse pattern, similar to what you have on here. Same pattern on these two knives. Third one was the Wii Banter, compared to the NAF spanner made by Civivi. This one is unreal in terms of the ergonomics. Now this has the gecko pattern as well, but we can see that, here, let me close that. The gecko pattern is definitely different on these Conspirator. I mean, this one is a much clearer circular, more of a matte finish, and you can see the individual lines running across that carbon fiber. Compared to on this Conspirator, yes, you can see that circular pattern starting up here. It is continuing, but it's more of maybe a pattern that's just extending across and kind of that, compared to more of a curvature on the Wii. I don't know, interesting. So that was the third one. Fourth one was the NAF's Lander. So again, this has a similar pattern to what we're seeing here. But all of these have been impeccable in quality. Oh, and one last part I think that is interesting with the Lander is they do have this full back spacer, which is carbon fiber, and it's just click in. Like, you can literally put the knife together and click it in, or I could take something, wedge it in here and pop it out and out of the way. I actually really like that. I think it kind of changes the nature of the knife quite a bit. I don't know why. It does give you some texturing down the back the whole way. But, it just makes it a little bit more of your own. So as you can see, I'm an Unlocked Composites fan. So anyway, let's get these off the table. So what I'm planning on doing here is I will take it down to the table, take it into high speed so you don't have to sit through all of it. We are going to break this down completely, clean everything up, and then I'll come back. We'll talk about how the innards look. Then I'll put it all back together and we'll talk at the end. So I hope you guys can stick with me. Again, I think this is going to be a fun one. All right, see you soon. So we've got it all broken down and cleaned up. Haven't started swapping out parts yet, but I just wanted to take a look at the insides. So we have steel liners, steel pocket clip. I did confirm it is Nitro-V. Says it right here on the blade. All right, I'm not sure if that's coming in focus or not, but there you have it if it is. Couple specs that I didn't give you earlier. We're looking at a 3.45 inch or 3.48 inches, somewhere in that range in terms of the blade length, with a thickness of 0.118, so basically a 0.12, just a little bit under it. Does have a blade hardness of 59 to 61, so that's pretty good. Handle thickness of 0.5 inches. And then overall, in terms of our weight, we're sitting at 3.8 ounces. So just a little bit over that blade length to weight ratio that everyone seems to like, the 1-to-1. We're close enough for posterity's sake. We do have caged bearings. I believe that these are ceramic. Yeah, they look ceramic to me. So, okay, so we're going to start by initially just doing our swap out of our parts that we know we're going to be exchanging. So we're going to set these aside, the micarta. And we are also going to get our skiff bearings. Now the bearing size we have here is the 5mm 1/16. If I didn't have that, Skiff on their website has a compatibility chart, so I was basically able to look it up. But if not, you can get this little device here. I believe Skiff sells this as well. It's nice. That you can do some sizing. So you can say, okay, I have a 1/16 in terms of the thickness. Doesn't fit in the 364. 2mm is too big, so I know it's the 1/16. And you can also check your pivot to say, is it the 5mm? So the 5 fits perfectly. 6 is too big. 3/16 doesn't fit. So apparently their compatibility chart is correct. Anyway, cool little device. This has allowed me to change a lot of bearings on a lot of knives that are not listed in their compatibility list. So you have Skiff bearings. There's another company as well that has a compatibility chart. I have not used them as much. The Taco bearings. I have found with Taco bearings that often the bearings fall out of the housing just in handling, which is a real pain in the rear, and then you're chasing beads all over the place. It does pay to buy some extra bearings from whoever you like to use. But anyway, so there is the Skiff bearings. We're going to clean those up and replace those. Boy, they're really pretty looking. I'll give them that. And then what I usually will do is put these back into the bag and label them as to who the OEM and what knife it is. And that way, if I ever give the knife away or sell the knife, I can provide them with the original bearings as well, the original caged bearings. So I'm going to do a little bit more cleanup, and then we'll start putting this back together. Thanks. Okay, so before we actually start putting this back together, I've got the full cleanup down just to give you a little bit of rundown of some of the tools that I'm using and how handy they are. So this is the Weeha bit driver. It's Boker branded. You can get them off Amazon very cheap. It's got all the bits here in the handle, which is really nice and really good for getting down and getting that heavy torque needed. So really like that. Got several of those. This is made by NAFS. This is their rocket bit driver. This is just so much fun, but it works really well. Has magnets here, so the bits are held in magnetically on the side. You just set it there and it pops in. Push here on the bit end, and up it comes, out it goes. Has these two little retention bands that slide up over it, and this is just really well thought out and just works really well for getting out simple things. Now, I just tend to use alcohol initially to clean everything. I forgot to do the skiff bearings. And then for most of my stainless steel components, I'll do a quick rub down with a tough cloth. You know, my theory is that one day I won't have to open up my my box of knives and find a whole bunch of them are rusted. So what I try and do is every now and then, before I put a knife away, I give it a quick wipe down with some alcohol, and then either some knife oil, something like the candela oil, or with the tough cloth, something to that effect. This thing's great though, and it comes in this little carrier, and I'll just buy replacement cloths and put them into here every now and then. But anyway, I thought that would be useful to just kind of show you quick, you know, some of the useful tools. A couple other things you can get. This is a little tiny kind of pry bar that just works really well for separating out. Sometimes you'll get where the scales won't separate from the liners well, and you need something that can kind of get in there but not damage anything. That works well. When we start putting it back together, I tend to use the blue Loctite, and this is a Loctite stick. I don't know if it works better in the liquid, but it sure makes less of a mess, and that I appreciate. I also tend to use some type of kind of higher end. This is a break-free CLP for actually on the areas where the bearings are. And then if I don't have one on this knife, obviously, because it's not knife or liner lock or a frame lock, but if I do have those on the lock bar, the ball that kind of sits in the lock bar that glides along the knife and drops in, I'll use the heavy KPL for that. I've got some other stuff. Lynch Northwest makes this one that's called Dog Drool. I haven't used it that much. I'm sure it's great. It just hasn't been in my wheelhouse. And then I just tend to use some isopropyl alcohol along with an old microfiber cloth. So anyway, that's kind of the basic tool setup. And then having a nice breakdown mat. This is a smaller one. I have a larger one that I tend to use in the office upstairs, but recently I've been trying to do these downstairs where my wife, who is across the room, likes to do her puzzles, so it gives us something to be doing at the same time. So anyway, I'm going to put this back together, and we're going to take a look at it together. Thanks, guys. All right, so we're all done. That took a little bit of extra effort. When I first put it together, it had really great action, very smooth, but had some pretty incredible lock stick. Still has more than it had before, although I don't know if I'm being sensitive to it. So I broke it back down, made some adjustments, kind of trying to make sure everything's lining up real nicely. And as of right now, it seems to be about where I was prior. Flicks very easily, rock solid. I mean, this thing is just absolute zero play whatsoever. Of course, when I do a bunch of that, then the lock gets a little bit stiffer, but I just think it's going to take a little bit of breaking in. It sounds good there. No concerns, right? Definitely very, very smooth. Heard that when I do a really hard flick. But you know, I've had some other locks that were like that as well. This one, when it first started, was really sticky, and now it's just nothing. Very, very smooth. No concerns with the button with pushing too hard, stopping the blade from going. It just drops perfectly. Okay, so anyway, these scales look absolutely next level as far as I'm concerned, and the feel is fantastic. Interesting, I kind of missed the softer feel of the micarta a little bit, but I think overall I'm going to be much happier with this long term in terms of wear and tear. Although, you know, sometimes that warmth, these are almost very smooth. There's almost no grip. And if you compare that, I mean, this is, I mean, I could lose skin on that. This, not bad, but in comparison, this is just unbelievable. So very, very happy. I hope that this has been enjoyable for you guys. I'm going to have to do a lot of editing with the video because it is way, way too long. Oh, some of the pre, I didn't have that backspace. Remember, take a look at that. Look at that. You gotta like that. That's definitely a little bit different from, say, the backspacer that they have here on the Lander, which is kind of soft and supple. This has a little bit more edge to it, right? And it's interesting where they put it. It'd been nice actually to have a full backspacer, I think, but they put it there so it really hits on the heel really well. So you have your texturing, you're jimping up here, and then you have that there really locking it into your hand. I mean, this is a full, no real hot spots. I mean, let's see. Real Gorilla Grip. Do I feel that clip? Yes. But having the, when you choose these from Unlocked Composites, you can select to have this thumb ramp on both sides or just on one side. I really want it on both sides so I'd have just as good access as I can get to the fuller on that side. So if we compare that to here, you know, very similar. So they have the same theme here. They had that thumb ramp. So I tried to copy that instead of going with having it just, so you can see here how I did this on the Lander. It doesn't have that thumb cutout. It just only has it on one side. And so it does make it a little bit more challenging to get your finger in there for the thumb. This one doesn't have it at all. Here we have the same thing. They have a little bit of a cutout, and I didn't select it. Now that one, the wee banner, the thumb stud sits out so far. It just doesn't seem to make a difference. Here, I did get that cut out to be ambi on both sides so I could get to it. So anyway, that was the reason I selected that for this one, is I really wanted to make sure I didn't lose out on that ability to reverse flick it. But man, this thing is just a rocket. And really, oh, well, I can get it to do it. I mean, it's a pretty heavy blade, but I have to really, I mean, I could just barely feel it shift. It's not going anywhere. That's got nothing. The retention is really, really nice in there. Very well centered as of right now. Came back together. I mean, with the exception of having that little button stick and having to break it apart and put it back together, which probably I didn't do anything. I probably could have just left it alone and it would have just worked itself out. It was a pretty easy take apart, put back together. By the way, all T8 screws except for T6 on the pocket clip. Really appreciate that. Boy, would I love to see them start dropping T8s even on the pocket clip. Interesting because you do T6 on one side for the pocket clip, but it meets up with a T8 through the standoff. So in that case, if that standoff is rotating, then it requires you to kind of have a T8 on one side and T6 on the other side. That's a little bit of a pain, I would say. But overall, fit and finish is really nice. I'm very happy with this. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. Let's do a real quick, just kind of picturesque view here for all of these guys together. And we'll just go down in terms of length and size. Conspirator, Elementum, banter, baby banter. Oh, and where's our lander come in? Poor lander. Where are you going to hang out? Well, let's try this. Let's do this. Yeah, let's go here, 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 and here. That's a pretty nice view. So we're going to leave it right there. Thank you guys. Appreciate it. Thanks for sticking with me. I hope that that was worth it for you. If you have any questions or comments, go ahead and ask them. I'm happy to answer whatever I can come up with, and I hope you have a great rest of your week. Thanks for joining us today, and hit that subscribe button. See you soon.